Good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. It's your responsibility to do your own due diligence. And where are we right now? We're looking at Bitcoin. It is a little over 6750, 67,500. Now it's bouncing back, so back above 66,000. So that is the story with Bitcoin. Let us go over to our word of the day. Our word of the day is remontant. Remontant is our word of the day. A remonted plant, a blooming or producing crop more than once a season. By remontant roses keep the garden colorful from spring through fall. A lot of things are down today because they bid. NVIDIA is down at 5% today. Big selling in NVIDIA. Some financials that are up. There we can see Eli Lilly, AbbVie, United Healthcare is down about 7%. Energy is down. So utilities, real estate is bouncing, and Apple is up. So that is our story there. Let us go over. If you're at all concerned about a hard landing, you may want to consider to be cut in half, like what happened in 2008. Might want to consider this. Goes up the stairs, and does not come down when the market comes down, like index investing does. Beats index investing by about 5% per year, and currently there are bonuses 10% or greater. So let us go over to our charts. Our charts, we're looking at Core Scientific. It looked like it was up slightly earlier. And it's still up as we refresh it, up 1.23% on the strength of Bitcoin, I believe. Over to our dollar. Dollar's pretty flat for the day. Silver is bouncing off the 20-day moving average slightly. Wrong symbol for gold. Gold is up slightly as well. Why do we show all these different charts? Well, we want to see where the money is flowing. If money is leaving the stock market, a lot of times they'll go into commodities. We haven't looked at commodities for a while, but that is part of the reason we look at the metals every day. Copper is definitely down, I believe. Yeah, this is a commodity index. It gapped down big time today. So commodities is not the place to be today. Look at the bond yields are falling, down almost 1.5% here. Look at the 20-year, it's down as well, down to pretty close to 3.2%, 3.19. We did not look at what the 10-year is currently trading at. It's still above 4, about 4.04%. Look at the VIX. The VIX is popping a little bit, up 1.83%. Go look at the S&P 500. Pulling back slightly. Look at the equal weight in the RSP. It is actually moving up 0.31%. So that looks like that might be the leading index right now. NASDAQ pulling back. Big move in NVIDIA definitely would do it for you. And let's look at the equal weight in the NASDAQ. That's off as well. Both of them are pretty close to one another. 1.11 on the NASDAQ, 1.17 on the equal weight. IWM. There's actually definitely a divergence there. Dow Jones is holding pretty steady. So that is the story there. And let us quickly take a look at what Tesla is doing. I can't remember what I saw there. It is up slightly, close to 1%, up 0.85%. In world news, China may raise an additional 6 trillion yuan, $850 billion from specialty treasury bonds over 3 years to stimulate a sagging economy. Local media reported, cited by Reuters. The Cakeson Global Report cited resources with knowledge of the matter comes after the finance minister Lan Huan on Saturday said Beijing will significantly increase debt, although the absence of details on the size and timing of the fiscal measures disappointed some investors. Before we move on to the sector news, in the news section, let's just take a look at what's happening in China. Big drop there. Got a gap down of 4.4%. We can take a look at K-Web, probably pretty similar, a little worse, 6.14%, dives below the 20-day moving average. So take a look at the US markets. Financials, gap up. Goldman Sachs beat earnings estimates. It tried to move higher and pull back. Interesting. Take a look at Citibank. That is moving down. So maybe it's Bank of America is the big gap up that is helping the banks. And let's continue on. This is communications moving up slightly. Real estate, where the action was today, and got a pretty strong move there. That may equate to the strongest sector, but we'll keep moving on and see if anything else catches our eye. Biotech is up 0.44%. The other one is up 0.34. Semiconductors, big pullback to the 20-day moving average, down pretty close to 5%. Very similar to what NVIDIA is down for the day. So let us go to infrastructure, up slightly. Consumer discretionary is up with that move by Tesla. Consumer staples, well, that's a pretty good bounce, up 0.89%. Healthcare, it's pretty, well, actually is down slightly from yesterday. You had the bounce yesterday and is pulling back today. Mining and metals, up slightly. We didn't look at uranium. Here's uranium, pull back a little bit. Yeah, it's pretty flat. Denison Mines. Big move up by home builders. Building materials has a nice move, up 0.59%. So that is kind of this. Take a look at Feng Yu. Is this going to pull back even more? Big question. So let's go over to our sector. Oh, I'm going to look at two more. Transportation. I believe this is home builders. .85%. I would take it that that would be the ETF for the day. So let us take a look at Cody. Announces preliminary results Q1 and reiterates full year 25 adjusted EBITDA outlook, 9 to 11% year-over-year growth, supporting stronger EBITDA margin expansion. Tight order and inventory management by retailers resulted in Cody's sell-in tracking well below sell-out in several markets in Q1. Said it sees first quarter preliminary like-for-like sales up 4 to 5% from the prior year, down from the previous forecast of 6%. So a big dive in Cody this morning, down close to 11%. I believe they typed this symbol wrong. Etsy downgraded to sell from neutral at Goldman Sachs, citing more selective approach to e-commerce stocks ahead of earnings. Even with that, it's still up 3.85%. Home builders and Meritage Homes upgraded to neutral from underperform target to 195 from 160. It's crossing 10 and 20-day moving averages today, up 1.76%. DR Horton upgraded to neutral from underperform target to 165 from 130. It is moving up 2.14% on a down day for both of those in the markets. Boeing said it has entered into a credit agreement with $10 billion worth of consortium banks as the plane maker for $11.5 billion of debt maturing through February 1st, 2026. Separately, Boeing files $25 billion shelf and precursor to a possible equity raise. So it is up slightly today, 2%. Phillips 66 said its subsidiary, Phillips 66 Limited, has entered into a definitive agreement to sell its 49% non-operated equity interest in Co-op Minoleo AG to its Swiss joint venture partner. It will receive cash of approximately 1.24 billion, consisting of approximately 1.17 billion and an assured dividend of about 70 million. So that's the story there. Transocean rig downgraded to hold from buy at benchmark, pulls back to $4, down 4.25%. Financials, we looked at Bank of America, third quarter EPS 81 cents and revenues of 25.3 billion. Quarter three net interest income 14 billion. Quarter three provision for credit losses 1.5 billion. Quarter three net charge-off 1.5 billion. And quarter three non-interest expense of 16.5 billion, up 4%. So I guess maybe Warren Buffett sold a little too early. Healthcare, Johnson & Johnson, quarter three EPS $2.42, tops consensus of $2.21 and slightly better revenues, 22.5 billion versus consensus 22.16 billion. And the stock has been all over the place today. It's up 1.57%. We'll see if this is the handle here and it can break out. The chart says it's a flat base. And let's move on to United Healthcare. Kind of threw the market in a tizzy because of their forward results, down about 7%. Just EPS $7.15, tops consensus of $7, and revenues of 100.82 billion versus consensus of 99.28. But its medical cost ratio, the share of premiums paid out to cover expenses, came in at 85.2% compared with estimates of 84.4%. And it narrowed the full year 24 adjusted EPS view 27.50 to 27.75 from 27.50 to 28 versus estimate of 27.70. Care DX said it sees quarter three revenue of 82 million to 83 million above consensus of 79.53. Even with that, it fell 15%. And PTC Therapeutics pulling back about 3%, announces FDA targeted regulatory action date for sepiapterin and Lancet publication of phase 3 trials. On to technology, media, and telecom. Ericsson earnings beat expectation as adjusted EBITDA margin increased 530 basis points to 12.6%, 287 BPS above expectations. Free cash flow of 12.9 billion kroner compares to the 2.8 billion kroner expected. So we got a big gap up on Ericsson shares, up 13%. Mobileye downgraded to sector perform from outperform at RBC Capital Markets. Finally, Wolfspeed shares rise 20%, is set to receive $750 million in government grants for its new North Carolina silicon carbide wafer manufacturing plant facility. The U.S. Commerce Department said the preliminary funding required Wolf to take additional steps to strengthen its balance sheet to better protect taxpayer funds. And it is up 24% with 1,160% increase in volume. That is just off the charts. So let us go over our daily activity. What is up 10%? There's only one, 2020 IPO, Montrose Environmental. It has really sold off. See if it is working on a bottoming base here. It's up 15.25% on 221% increase in volume. See what we got in the 5% area. We got 7 items. Carnival keeps rising, up 7.6% today. Pretty good volume. Donald J. Trump Company continues rising as well. We've got an institutional ant right over here. It's up 9.35% and 532%. It hit its head on the 200-day and pulled back a little bit. So we'll see if it can pull back a little more or if it's going to keep going up. Excelis is Alameda Company based right near our office here, up 8.42%, 737% increase in volume, definitely moved into the pivot zone. Earnings, 15 days. Jasper Therapeutics is up close to 9%. There's Montrose Environmental, and here's Charles Schwab. Gap up, earnings came flat at 0, but it was a 2.63 earnings surprise. And let us just take a look at one that we profiled yesterday. The reason it was moving up was, I guess, the FDA is looking at whether they can copy Eli Lilly's weight loss drug and have a copy that is significantly cheaper. So that is why that is rising on that news. So what is happening in our world, mostly down today. After a number of days up in a row, take a look around the big cap world. Netflix continues to pull back. A little bit of pullback in A-Lab as well, but we'll just see if it can hold this level. Kava is down today because Chipotle is funding one of their competitors, an Australian company. So we'll see how that affects Kava moving forward. Elf Beauty retraced more. It's an outside day in Elf Beauty as it totally retraced everything it did yesterday, but it is bouncing back. It did come down to the 10-day moving average, down to about 107, bouncing back here to 109. We'll just continue to watch that. Vertiv Holdings pulls back to the 10-day moving average, off about 5%. MicroStrategy pull back. It did pull back to the 10-day, and that was bouncing off 1.37%. We did start looking at the big cap tech, and we deviated. So let's get back to looking at our big cap tech. NVIDIA pulled back to the 10-day, off a little over 5%. Google is up slightly, 0.67%. Meta, pretty flat today. Tesla was up slightly. Amazon pulling back, down 0.83. Apple was up. Got a big move up. Looked like it hit just in the pivot zone. Got a gap up and then pull back slightly. Microsoft just can't move forward here. Just kind of remains right on its 200-day moving average. Eli Lilly, that is down on that news of HIMSS. And not sure I missed anything here. I think that's about it for now. Continue on what we're looking at. America superconductor pulls back to its moving averages, but is started to tighten up on some of its moves. It was pretty wide and loose over here. That could be constructive, down 2.27%. Natera holding pretty steady. Looks like that may be tightening up as well, down 2.15%. Oracle down slightly, still above its 10-day moving average. Carpenter sells off, pulls below its 20-day, and then bounces. So it's pretty flat for the day considering. Reddit is up 0.2% today. Dave was down earlier, and it is bouncing up 1.89%. Guardian Health, where we have the options, up close to 1% here. We'll see if it can get any momentum. BitX up ever so slightly, up about close to 2%. Viking was a recent ad. Pulls back near the 10-day and is bouncing up 1.32%. Couple of IPOs. This one tried to move higher and selling off here today. It's at its low, so we'll just have to kind of watch it a day or two to see what we're going to do with this one. UMM looks like it breaking out of its base. Pull back a little bit. Got up to 925 and pulled back. So that is the story there. And that'll wrap up everything that we're looking at today. Hope everybody has a great day. Continue to go out there and work on your goals and your activities. Remember, Mornings with Michael is for information and educational purposes only. It's your responsibility to do your own due diligence. So go out there, and if we can help you with anything, any questions you may have, feel free to send us a comment. In the meantime, have a great Taco Tuesday and go support your favorite taco stand.